I'm very proud to welcome you to the 25th UJA breakfast. The mayor asked me how this came about, and I said it was a few faculty members, notably Larry Kaplan and Jean, who took the lead and said that John Jay should participate in the great work of the UJA. And we started with a very modest breakfast back in 1977. And so for 25 years, we have supported the UJA. And I want you to know, Mr. Mayor, that it is everybody here at John Jay of all races and religions that support UJA. And that's wonderful. This is the first time we've had it in the gymnasium. Much of it is due to you, Mr. Mayor, since everybody wanted to see you. And we're happy to have you here. I think that the great prosperity of the university and the great integrity of the university over the last couple of years is due to our Chancellor. And to introduce the Mayor, may I present to you Chancellor Matthew Goldstein.
Thank you, President Lynch, and we're really blessed at this college with having such a distinguished president, and he continues to do wonderful work. And Jerry, it's always good to be with you, and it's wonderful to be here on the 25th anniversary of the founding of the UJA Appeal breakfast at John Jay. It's been a long history here. Jerry, again, compliments to you and your faculty for again being #1 in the country, according to U.S. News & World Report, for your very distinguished program in criminal justice. You do us all proud, and it's just wonderful to be associated with you and your faculty as you continue to do the great work that you do. All of us in this city know New York is hard. Our problems are difficult. The challenges sometimes seem to be rather daunting. And in order to attack these problems and to create pathways for better worlds for all of our citizens, we really have to surround ourselves with the most able, promising, and energetic people. And that's why I so strongly support our very distinguished Mayor Bloomberg, in part for his focus on education in this city. I know, he knows, I think everybody in this room knows, that in order for this city to come together and to do the things for its citizens that needs to be done, we do need an educated workforce. We need an educated citizenry, and unless we have people who are on the forefront of ideas and resolve to attack the problems that we all face, this city doesn't have the kind of wonderful future that it certainly could have. So, Mr. Mayor, I really applaud your work and your steadfastness in your attentiveness to trying to reform education in the city. And you will do it, and you will have the very strong support of this great university as we serve in partnership with you. This mayor came from humble surroundings. He went to very fine universities, and he became a businessman extraordinaire. Anybody who has worked in the financial services industry cannot do their job without the kind of materials that Bloomberg provided through its very innovative way of analyzing, disseminating, and presenting data in ways that we had never seen in this country. And as a result of that, Mr. Bloomberg became a titan in business and really showed all of us what he is capable of doing. And I know that transference of that business acumen, that management style, that really sharp focus is going to create a very distinguished administration. And just paraphrasing Governor Pataki, who just a couple of weeks ago, when we toured Governor Island, turned to the mayor and said, "Mr. Mayor, you're off to a great start." And you are off to a great start, Mr. Mayor. We are just privileged to have you in this city, and we will work very strongly with you to help in any way that we can. And I would just like to conclude that this man is a man of big ideas, and I don't think any larger idea has surfaced, at least for this university, in many, many years, than he's standing up in front of the cameras and saying that when Governor's Island returns to the city and state, that it will be used largely for a new flagship campus for the City University of New York. This is a great gift not only to the City University of New York, but a great gift for the city and state of New York. The idea that we will be able to provide opportunities in ways that we never dreamed possible is very much due to the wisdom, thoughtfulness, imagination, and bigness of the thinking of our very distinguished mayor. So, Mr. Bloomberg, I thank you for joining us this morning. We look forward to your words. And before you come up to speak on behalf of the, if you could come up, of the UJA here at John Jay College, this is presented to Michael R. Bloomberg, Mayor, for the Mayor's business, political, and charitable accomplishments, as well as his efforts to better the lives of those in need. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chancellor Goldstein, President Lynch. Thank you for having me. I have a connection with UJA that goes back to 1966, because I can remember it well. It was my first year in New York and my first job, and I was given the assignment by Solomon Brothers to solicit everybody in the firm to raise money for UJA. The managing partner of Solomon Brothers, Billy Solomon, and the number 2 guy, John Goodfriend, both had an amazing feeling for philanthropy and a belief that everybody had a responsibility to help. And so this was a plum assignment, and they were beating me over the head to make sure I did a good job. In those days, I remember the first time I managed to raise $250,000 for UJA, which was in 1966 an enormous amount of money. And UJA has a Wall Street dinner every year where they call cards and ask people to stand up. And I was so impressed with myself that I could stand up and announce a gift of $250,000 to UJA. And to put it in perspective, it is probably more, that was probably more money than my entire family going back to Adam and Eve had made. So it was, I was impressed with myself. And then over the years, Solomon Brothers prospered, we gave more, and I was lucky enough to be able to do more on my own. But UJA is one of those organizations that really does make a difference. It has a mission, it knows what its mission is, it does it efficiently, it doesn't change with whatever happens to be in fashion. There are people that need help both here and in Israel, and UJA should be very proud of what it does. And I think it's just a wonderful thing that UJA actually has a chapter here at one of the great parts of City University. John Jay itself is, as the Chancellor said, something that stands on its own, and its reputation is a worldwide one, and it is an integral part of New York City just as much as UJA is. We train here the people that will make sure that we have a fair, compassionate, safe society. And throughout New York City, in every part of city government as well as in the private sector, you will find John Jay graduates doing a great job. One of the sad things is that because of that, There were a number of the victims of the terrorism on 9/11 who were John Jay graduates, and our hearts have to go out to them. But what we owe to them is to build for the future. And we have a very delicate task in front of us of memorializing those we lost, at the same time telling terrorists that they haven't won, that we are going to go on. We want to look back a little bit, never forget the 2,800 people, particularly the 400 who ran into those buildings to save others. I'm sure they all had the same instincts that the rest of us have. When you see danger, you go the other way. The difference between us and them is that they overcame that instinct and they said, I have a calling, I have a job, I was trained, I said I'd do it when it was needed, and they went in, and terrible cost, but they saved 25,000 lives, and I think more than that, they've sent a message to the world that we are going to continue to have a society that we can be proud of, where we can practice the religions that we choose, where we can say what we want to say. We are not a perfect society by any means, but we continue to get better. There is no place in the world where you have a better opportunity to raise your family and to be yourself and to get along with others than New York City. And a lot of it really does come because of graduates of John Jay. If we don't have a good legal system, if we don't make sure that people get treated fairly and are protected, then we have nothing. I've always been asked, what are our priorities? And I always come back and say, well, schools are my #1 priority. But, excuse me, there is something that really comes before that. And that is the ability for you to go out in the morning and go about your business, go to your school, go to your place of business, send your children out and not have to worry. And if we don't have a justice system that really ensures that we are protected and we are protected in a fair way, both of those things have to go together, then you don't have a tax base, then you don't have a society, and then you can't get down to worrying about education. Fortunately, I think a lot of credit has to go to graduates of John Jay College and also to my predecessor, Rudy Giuliani, who focused on crime. He was a prosecutor. That was his background. My background is more on the academic side. Unfortunately, I have a very tragic thing happening in my life in a couple of weeks. I'm finishing my term as chairman of the board of my former university. It would be a conflict if I stayed on anyways, but we also have a policy of 6 years and you're out, and my 6 years will be up. But there's nothing that I have done in my life other than maybe have my 2 daughters that has given me as much pleasure as the opportunity to really influence people's lives through education. And I think that if you take a look at New York City's government, every part of it basically works. Some you can always make things better, but it's amazing as how well New York City delivers services fairly, efficiently, honestly. There's a phenomenal number of competent people that work for New York City. The only place where our government, if you will, breaks down is in the public school system, where we have some great schools and we have an awful lot of very dedicated people. But unfortunately, there are just too many kids that keep dropping out. I was looking at some numbers the other day. There are 32 school districts in New York City, and only 3 of them read at grade level in the 8th grade. 3 out of 32. There are only 2 of them that do math at the grade level by the 8th grade. So, you know, while there certainly are bright lights, and there are some schools that really work, and there are schools where you have committed parents and they make the system work, and I think that's really the greatest determinant of whether a school is good or bad. You show me a school with committed parents, I will show you a good school. The trouble is, we have a very complex society. It's an immigrant population. 40% of New York City is foreign born. Most people have jobs where they just have to go to work and they can't spend time on the phone or go visit the school. We have lots of kids who don't have the old Norman Rockwell family of two parents, one a homemaker staying at home and the other the breadwinner. That's not today's world, and it's certainly not New York's world. And we have not taken our school system and adjusted it for the kind of life that our students, or the kind of families our students come from. We have parents that speak 120 different languages. And so if you say, well, let's send a note home, that's not quite as easy a thing as you would think it would be. If you say, well, let's send the note home to the parents, unfortunately, we have lots of children who just don't have, forget about not having two parents, we have a significant number of kids who don't have one parent. And we cannot say, well, if they don't have the support structure at home and they don't learn the kinds of things they're supposed to learn at home, tough luck for them, we're going to focus in the schools only on reading, writing, and arithmetic. Can't do that in a compassionate society. We've got to take on the responsibility that in a different world we wouldn't have to, but that's the task that we're given, and we just owe it to everybody to do a good job. I think there is enormous potential for improving the school system. We don't expect as much as we should out of children. We have an amazing resource, and in our future is our children. We tend to dumb down standards rather than to try to raise standards. We tend to let the measurement techniques be the objective rather than what we're really trying to do of teaching kids. We don't focus on the skills that children need to go out after graduation and become part of society rather than dependent on society. In this day and age, the old line values of reading and writing and arithmetic, of being able to phrase a question and understand an answer, those things are more important than ever before. The more technology we have, the more the old line values are going to become important. And if the child gets out of school and doesn't know how to work collaboratively, for example, or can't read the instruction book, I don't care what job you think you're going to get for that child. I can't think of one, no matter how entry level it is, where you don't have to have those skills. And we've walked away from our children. And so what I've said is I want the opportunity to go and to make this system better. That requires first having somebody who is accountable. The Board of Ed is not. It needs a management structure where you have some policies and you stick to them. Unfortunately, because the Board of Ed micromanages, that's very difficult, and it is also difficult in the world where everybody's second-guessing you. But a consistent policy is more important than which specific educational method you happen to pick. We have a school system that uses $12 billion and roughly 200,000 employees to deliver a second-rate product, is I think the only ways to phrase it. Our school system is bigger than most countries, and you just cannot continue to run it this way. So I'm working very hard to try to get the opportunity. I will try to fund the schools to the extent that we can possibly do. I'm optimistic that we will get monies out of Albany, so in fact we don't have to make any cuts to education in a period where we've got to cut most services. It isn't done yet, so you know, don't clap yet. And I will say also that while there is a focus on putting more money into the school system, I'm not sure that is the only problem. I wouldn't say it isn't one problem, but there is an argument that when you don't have any cap on a particular resource, you don't focus on trying to make it efficient, looking to see which things work, which things don't work, and demanding results before you fund things. The fact that New York City has a $5 billion deficit this year is sad, but it will get us to focus on a lot of things. I'm working on a number of programs where you sit and you say, well, why do we need all of that? And all of that sometimes is more than what we need. When there's no check and balance, you just constantly improve it. Let me touch base for 2 seconds on Governor's Island. Chancellor Goldstein mentioned that. There are two big problems that New York City school system has, among lots of others. But two of the biggest are we just do not have enough teachers And next year, we're going to have to either get all the teachers certified or to remove the teachers that cannot pass the certification test. The Board of Regents in Albany is insisting on that. We have a tough enough time recruiting teachers, and while I think the teachers will get a raise this time, you're never going to make as much money teaching in the public school system as you might be able to make in the corporate world. So we've got to do something about how you get more teachers. 60% of our teachers come from City University. And so anything we can do to enhance City University and make going to learn how to be a teacher at City University more attractive, and then incenting people to stay in the get a job in the public school system and stay, is in the public school system's interest. Governor's Island will help do that by making City University a greater university. We just got to constantly improve it. Every university is faced with the same thing. It's a competitive world, and the standards you want to keep raising, and we're doing that with City University. And I think Chancellor Goldstein's doing a wonderful job at doing that. We just got to give him the resources. But Governor's Island will help do that. And the other thing is we're going to try to move some programs out of some City University campuses in all 5 boroughs over there, which will free up buildings that we could create public high schools in all 5 boroughs. One of the great problems is today we don't have the money to go build new schools, and the siting problem of where you put the school is such a difficult thing in this day and age, and particularly in a litigious society. It would take a long time, and we don't have that time. We have children who need smaller class sizes today, and this will give us the opportunity to, within a year or two, be able to have more classrooms in the public school system. When everybody says, well, let's have smaller class sizes, and they all say that when they're running for political office, I always roll my eyes and say, great, but where are the teachers going to come from, and where is the classrooms that you're going to put them in? This doesn't solve all of the public school problems, nor does it solve all of either of those problems, but it does go a long ways to do it. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't say we have this unique opportunity because of President Bush. I had been lobbying for a long time, as have others, to get Governor's Island returned to the city. President Bush, who people say, hey, he doesn't know New York, he's a Texan. I'm not sure where Texas is, but it's someplace. All of a sudden, out of the blue, he said, okay, you guys want it? He called the governor, he called me and said, here's your opportunity. Governor Pataki, right away, we had a conversation and said, look, education, #1 priority. Here's a chance to really do something. I took him over to Governor's Island, and he walked around. I think he was impressed that potentially it will be a more beautiful campus than his alma mater, Yale. So right away he could see Pataki University. No, he didn't. And George is I've been very lucky I think to have George Pataki as governor. He really has done a lot for New York City, and I think we're going to get a lot of aid here in this new budget, and we're going to get governance, I hope, and to a great extent that will be because of 3 people, George Pataki, Joe Bruno, and Sheldon Silver. And politics are being put aside. Part of that's coming out of 9/11, but part of it, I think, is just the president, the governor, the speaker, and the majority leader all understanding that our future really is education. And we've been paying lip service to improving schools for much too long, particularly in the public school system. I can't promise you that I have a silver bullet. I can't promise you that in 4 years every kid that matriculates in the public school system is going to get a chance to go to college. But I can promise you that we can do a lot better, and that I will try. So keep up the good work. Keep up the good work with UJA. Keep up the good work in supporting John Jay and the City University system. Both organizations, UJA and CUNY, are our future. Thank you very much, and thank you for the award. I appreciate it.